Hey guys, welcome to my second vlog. I really enjoyed making the first one and I hope you guys enjoy it, and so this is the second one. I thought it would be interesting to do a review of an anime that's on Netflix, mostly because I assume a lot of people have access to Netflix, and since we're on a quarantine, we watched a lot of TV, so hope you guys enjoyed this one. The anime I'm talking about is Beastar. This one was a little bit more interesting. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, especially because the animation is way different than regular anime. Also because the animation happened to have their main characters as animals instead of human beings, and so I thought it was going to be a little weird. Just as a disclaimer, because it is all anime related, but it has animals, they do have some violence and gore in it and some sexual implications. So don't watch it if you feel weird about that. There's not a lot of sexual implications because I did feel weird about that one, but they didn't have a lot of it, so I wouldn't worry too much about that if that's the case. So like I said, I had some little bit of reservations because of the animation. I thought it was going to be a little cheap and the storytelling might be bad. But I gave it an episode and I gave it another one and I kept going until I finished the seasons, so I gotta tell you, it's great. So the main thing about here in this anime is, since it is all about animals, you have to keep in mind that lions and sheep aren't friends because lions will eat sheep. So of course the main dilemma between this anime was the fact that carnivores and herbivores are supposed to be living together in harmony, but in reality, how can you live in harmony if one species is trying to eat the other species? So that's the main problem throughout the series. Our main character that we follow is a wolf, and his interaction with the world and the herbivores as he starts to have instinctive feelings to try to eat the herbivores. So that's our main dilemma. The story starts off with an alpaca who gets killed by a carnivore in this high school where this wolf is at. He was part of the arts department where the wolf was also part of, and they used to interact and they were friends. That was the only, supposedly in the anime, that was the only group in the high school that were able to interact with each other without having tensions, because there was always tensions between the carnivores and the herbivores because they felt like they were going to get eaten at any time. So the anime is basically this wolf is going on his daily life. His friend just died. They weren't really that close, but he knows that there's tension and he's trying to live his life, but he's trying to figure stuff out because at a specific moment in the anime, he begins to have the instinct to want to eat a rabbit, a bunny rabbit, and he's worried because at this point in his society, he's just living, he's friends with these people, and he doesn't want to eat them, but all he wants to do is eat the rabbit, you know? So it's a weird, ridiculous thing to talk about, saying it out loud, but if you watch the anime, it's way more dramatic and a little bit less, you know? But, so we get to meet the characters that he interacts with. A red deer, who was very proud, and you can kind of tell he's a little scared of carnivores, and then we find out the reason why later. And then the bunny he wants to eat, who is shunned by her other classmates, and is just not very confident in who she is, or she just doesn't really love who she is, I guess. The main thing about this anime is throughout the series, you're trying to root for him, but at the same time you're wondering, is he going to eat her at the end of the anime? Because it's supposed to be a love story. But then they hint at that, but they also hint that maybe it's not a love story. Maybe he's going to eat her. And then they have a lot of situations where we watch the wolf try to go against his instincts and trying to figure out if what he's actually feeling is love or if it's just him wanting to eat her. So, but I gotta say, like I said, this anime was more surprising than anything because I watched it with the intention that the storyline was going to be very disappointing. I've been disappointed before by Netflix movies, so I thought this series is going to be sad. But I had already started watching it, so I was like, let's continue. But I was really surprised. They did really good when it came down to the facial features of the animals, like especially when they were trying to express something, like sad or anger or something like that. And they did a really good job of actually developing a story. Because I think what happens with most animes, or just in general TV shows, you go down this like long line of stories and then you're like, well, that didn't tie in with the other part, or if it does tie in, it was just cheaply done. But they did really good with this one. They hint at the Alpaca dying as something more meaningful in other people's lives, and it's not because they were close to him. And that whole tension between carnivores and herbivores isn't just on the surface. They go deeper into the idea that this would be a very big issue in a society where animals are coexisting with others. So much so that later on, and spoiler alert, in the anime, you get a look into the adult life of the animals. And it's very much suggested that the carnivores in the society, most of them anyway, end up going to the black market where there is actual meat. The reason for this is because carnivores like to eat. I mean, and it's shown throughout the anime too. Like, there's characters that you really want to see some saving grace in them, and you can't even judge them because they want to be friends with certain people, herbivores, but all they want to do is eat them at the same time. And there's like especially this scene where they're going into the black market, and later they allude to the fact that most of the meat is from morgues or hospitals donate them and stuff like that, but sometimes it's actually kidnapping and human or animal trafficking, and they are eating. But there's this moment where there's this where the wolf ends up at the black market, and there's, I think it was a sheep who's hiding in the corner, and he's trying to ask him directions. Well, the sheep pulls out his hand, which has like two of them bitten off, and he was like this and then like this or something like that. And he said he gave him a number for the finger. So he was basically telling him $500 for one finger. So he was basically selling his body parts. He's disgusted by this because if you watch the anime, he's grown up learning to harmonize and wanting a society where he and his friends could be together and no one's trying to eat each other, but he is a wolf, and so he's disgusted with himself, but at the same time he really wants to eat. His other classmates, all carnivores. One specifically was like, let's pitch in, we can have a bite, but he's just disgusted with himself and he just does not want to. And I think they implied that two of the friends actually do it and one of them doesn't, but this anime is really good. I actually really recommend it. I hope you guys actually give it a shot. It's a 12 episode anime. They said that they're going to make a second one, but they always say that and then they don't follow through, so I don't actually want to say that, only to have that be a lie. But they did really good with the first one, and they don't really tie up anything at the end of the first one. It's not infuriating like a cliffhanger if you were thinking, well, I don't want to watch it because I want to wait for the second season. It's not infuriating, but there is a lot to talk about, and there are some characters that you just want to see more about. You want to know how that even plays out, how the society will play out. And they introduced a couple of new characters that would actually enrich the story more in the second season when they produced it. I hope you guys give it a shot. I think you guys would really enjoy it. And I hope you guys have a fun experience watching it. I did not expect it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It was more of an opinion-based review. Like I said, it was just my personal thoughts on what I thought about this anime, especially because I didn't think about watching it. I kind of ended up watching it because I had nothing else to watch. And if you have nothing else to watch like I do, give it a shot. I think you guys would really enjoy it. And I hope you guys did.